Hello and welcome back to the Road to Doomsday, the MCU Rewatch show, brought to you by the Nerd Academy podcast. I'm your host, Jarod Buckman Stubbs, and joining me as always is the lovely Miss Taylor.
Hello.
We have made it to phase 3. I was about to say something, but I already have a cheeky joke related to the joke I was about to make in my notes, so I'll save it for there. But we are at phase 3. We are working towards the final chapter in the Infinity Saga. We are at the very beginning of it all with what might be one of my top 5 favorite MCU movies of all time, a movie that has a very, 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 very special place in my heart. Captain America: Civil War.
Mm.
I'm very excited to talk about this one. And yeah, just get all into this movie that has so many important memories for me. You have a list of grievances again?
I do. Again.
Okay. Well, before we jump into all that, and I'm sure I'm going to need it to get through whatever insane complaints Taylor has,
They're not
uh,
insane. They're totally normal.
a brief word from our sponsors over at Sunday's Bloody Mary. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse with their 3-time award-winning spicy mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice isn't for you. I lost my train of thought because I almost hiccuped. This former bartender only trusts one Bloody Mary mix, and that is Sunday's, the only Bloody Mary mix better than a from-scratch Bloody. To shake up your Bloody Mary game for the rest of your days, use the link in the description down below, sundaysbloodymary.com/shop, and use the code TNAP, TNAP at checkout to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. Sorry, I got distracted. I almost hiccuped, and then I saw updates from friends about wrestling tonight and got curious. And that threw me off. But, Taylor, are you ready for some Civil War trivia?
Maybe.
Okay, I'm going to pause the recording for 1 second. Okay, after a quick wardrobe change, she's ready for her close-up, everybody. Are you ready for some Civil War trivia?
I sure am now.
So this one's light, but it includes one of my other favorite questions I've been looking forward to asking. I saved it for the end. First question is, what joke title was Captain America 3 briefly given to troll the fans?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't remember. Um,
Think about the plot line and some of the characters in the most recent Captain America movie.
it couldn't have been Captain America Israel.
Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!
Couldn't have been that.
No, it was Captain America: The Serpent Society.
They also were technically in that movie.
They were.
Technically in that film.
Yeah, Sidewinder somehow did more than Sabra. Question number 2. Who cameos as the psychologist Zemo kills and then masquerades as?
Oh, I don't fucking know. Probably Joe Russo or something.
It is Joe Russo.
Hey!
All right. And for our final question on one of my favorites.
Russo.
Well, hold on. I got to get something ready here
Oh.
on my end. All right. What Avengers actor had their album shouted out in dialogue in Captain America: Civil War?
Album. Who? I don't know. Probably Don Cheadle. That's going to be the best guess I'm going to. Because I don't know who else would be singing at this time, but I feel like Don Cheadle has a good voice to him.
Okay, in the name of fairness, it was not a recent album. And I, to this day, don't know if this was intentional or not.
Then I don't know for sure.
That would be Robert Downey Jr.'s The Futurist.
Oh, no.
Whenever Tony shows up at the raft to ask Sam about where he thinks Steve might be.
Yes. Clint calls him the Futurist.
The Futurist is here, everybody. He knows what's best for you, whether you like it or
Like it
not.
or not. Yeah.
Taylor, would you like to hear a small piece of the title track, "The Futurist" by Robert Downey Jr.?
Ooh, I would.
We'll sage the world.
Oh no.
Sounds like October. A future is no
Richard.
A furious, curious fantasy's cold.
I at one point owned this album.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, thank God he got away.
Actually, I
Sorry,
lied. So
listeners
my
and
mom,
viewers. My cat refuses to share a seat with me. It is his and it is not mine, and how dare I?
but my mom owned this album, and I remember rummaging through like the CD cabinet
Absolutely
and
love that for Erica.
stumbling upon. I'm like, wait, this is fucking Iron Man. I listened to it. I had it on my iPod. I quite liked that song, "The Futurist." Actually,
I bet you
quite
do.
liked it. I haven't listened to the album in quite a long time.
I bet you do. It
But
fits
I
for
remember
you.
when the movie came out, I was laughing because I knew the name of the album, but I was like, "Hey, The Futurist." But yeah, it was like a fun kind of like little like soft rock album. It's a little it's an interesting listen. It's no Big Willie style, but as far as actor music goes, it's not too bad.
No Big Willie style. Will anything ever be?
No.
That's what I thought.
But with that small sampling, what did you think of The Futurist by Robert Downey Jr.?
Well, I think it sure is on brand.
Album came out in 1998.
It's
I am
like he
only
can see the future or something.
I'm only a couple months older than RDJ's The Futurist.
Well, I'm more than that. So
But for a little bit of background, with the end game coming into focus for the MCU, it was time to embark on a story that would splinter the Avengers and set the stage for their conflict with the Mad Titan as a disjointed front. With the Fab Four of the Russos, Marcus, and McFeely tapped to continue the story of Steve Rogers and his quest to save Bucky Barnes from himself and the world. Originally, the story was meant to feature Baron Zemo detonating the Mad Bomb, turning masses of people, heroes included, into rage-fueled zombies.
oh,
Kevin
28
Feige
days
stepped
later.
Kevin Feige stepped in and insisted that the Civil War storyline from the comics finally be adapted to film after it had been discussed heavily for some time at Marvel Studios. It was like an on and off again, like, yeah, we kind of want to do it, but maybe not. And like the main logistical issue being the Civil War story very crucially features a lot of characters we can't use.
Yeah, like specifically the X-Men.
I mean, the X-Men aren't as crucial to Civil War. A lot of it's a Fantastic Four element of it. I mean, like the mutants are there, but like a lot of it's like, Reed, like a huge part of it is like Reed choosing to be pro registration.
I think you and I read a lot of different versions. Like I think you and I read different like I was reading all of the X-Men Civil War comics and it was
And I've read the
Yeah.
main collection of Civil War and some of the Spider-Man stuff.
yeah.
But the center story is mostly like obviously it centers on Tony and Steve, but like a lot of it's the Spider-Man stuff of like Peter unmasking and then defecting. Um, Reed basically breaking up the Fantastic Four because Johnny and Sue don't agree, and the Thing eventually going with the anti-Reg side. Obviously, the mutants do play a huge role. There's also a lot of characters who, like Marvel, could have introduced that they would have had the rights to, but are also in a weird limbo. Characters like the New Warriors, but even then, the New Warriors are hard to do because you have people like Namorita in there, and the Namor pantheon of characters, all the Atlantean stuff
It's
had
tough to
some
build out something in a film like this.
tough to build out in a film like this, and also they, much like Wanda and Quicksilver, were in that weird like how much of this character can we use before we start getting into stuff that Fox owns with, with mutations and whatnot. But yeah, so they eventually decided they wanted to do it. Despite the full scope of the story from the comics being impossible to bring to the screen one to one, the central concept remained. An effort is being made to register superhumans. Iron Man supports it, while Captain America refuses, and this disagreement leads to a massive fallout between two halves of the superhuman community. The Russos didn't want the entire conflict to be rooted in just political posturing, but in the fundamental tension between Tony and Steve. Civil War led to the introduction of not just the Black Panther, the hero that the MCU had desperately wanted to include for some time, but it also brought about a shared custody agreement between Sony Pictures and Disney, where they reached an agreement to finally include the webhead himself.
It did not pick you up when you said it.
Oh, to finally introduce the webhead into the MCU. Captain America Civil War had a budget of $250 million and made $1.15 billion at the box office.
I
So
call that a success.
if memory serves, this is $billion movie number 4.
I was about to say it's either 3 or 4.
I believe it's 4 because it would have been.
It's the
It's Avengers, Iron Man 3,
mhm.
Age of Ultron, Civil War. So,
Crazy.
and then I think the MCU has 6 total. So we need the next 2 Avengers, and I think No Way Home. Or no, because Far From Home also made $1 billion. I don't remember the exact figures.
Yeah,
but,
I know the other 2 Avengers obviously did, but
yeah, so we got yet another $1 billion movie on our hands for the MCU. Taylor, this is going to be a segment I take a while on. So, where were you? What was going on in the life of Miss Taylor?
Miss Taylor was, what is this, 2016, 2017?
Yep, 2016, April 2016.
April. Wait, what? Oh yeah, April 2016. That means I definitely would have saw it with my dad. And I do not recall whether or not he.
Sorry, May 6th.
Either way, I definitely would have seen this with my dad. There is a hard end to when I could have seen movies with my dad, in the year of our Lord 2016. So, there is. I definitely would have seen this with my dad. Do I recall what side he would have been on? No. Because I know I was inherently on Team Cap, so I think my dad would have been on Team Cap, at least to me, no matter what. Because if there is one thing, me and my dad, we are BFFs, okay? So he's gonna support me no matter what he thinks.
Right.
Or because he doesn't have any skin in the game. He could be like, sure, I love Robert Downey Jr. because he and my dad shared a lot of characteristics for a long time. And so obviously I think my dad just enjoyed the movie. I am immediately was Team Cap, and then through the film I got more pissed because I was more Team Cap through the end of the movie, and then the end of the movie happened and I was like, no, so I'm right, triple down on it. And we'll get into this later, but none of this fucking makes sense. Jared, where were you?
So, I do want to say, due to some scheduling conflicts, we weren't able to have him on for this one. I very desperately wanted to. I was at my peak of being a CBC fan. I was checking the YouTube channel throughout the day at school to see if there were any more news had broken.
Oh my god, I'm actually glad we didn't have him on there, because Mitch would have been like, gee.
I was just so into it. Now, here's a funny little piece of information that when we do our looking back on the Spider-Man movies episode, this will be more important. But This is not too terribly long after the great Sony email leak happens.
Explain.
So in I believe it was 2014 because Sony Pictures wanted to release The Interview.
Wait, isn't that
The James Franco
that
movie about
movie?
the movie where James Franco was playing some like piece of shit like
So where
interview
James Franco was a piece of
Yes, but the character was some like dipshit like interviewer who was like being sent to North Korea to assassinate Kim Jong Un.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Um,
that's the movie I'm thinking about.
North Korea was upset with Sony for even daring to make this film, and was staunchly against its release in theaters, and threatened to unleash a cyber attack on Sony Pictures.
Mm.
Not long
I don't think we
after,
get enough of that.
huh?
I don't think we get enough of that.
Not long
Public cyber
after
attack threats.
not long after those threats are made, they do it and they leak a to steal a
Do
knowledge.
it?
They do it. I really hope it ends up in the episode where you buffer just enough for that to be in slow motion. Because that's what happened for me.
I hope not.
But to steal a knowledge fight, Alex Jones World Word, a tranche of emails leaks, revealing a number of insane things. So this is or maybe I don't think it was in 2014. I think it was after that. But because TASM 2 was out already.
Everybody's favorite.
Or maybe that was 2014. I don't remember.
Favorite
Either way.
movie, TASM 2. I will say that was one of my dad's favorite because he loved Jamie Foxx.
Hell yeah. But so the movie, so all these emails leak, and there's a bunch of wild shit, namely Amy Pascal, one of the heads at Sony Pictures, and a couple other executives joking about how they would have bet that Obama's favorite movie that year was Django Unchained, and some like weird, unpleasant fucking things in those emails.
Is it like when Ellen was hosting the Oscars and was like, if you guys don't vote 12 Years a Slave the best movie of the year, you guys are all racist?
That
Is it not unlike that?
Not unlike that.
Not unlike that.
Among these
I mean, he
emails,
was right because it was a great movie, but
yes. But among those emails was a correspondence between Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige.
Oh.
That revealed that Kevin Feige, and this reinforced a lot of rumors that were swirling around Hollywood at the time, that Kevin Feige was staunchly campaigning to allow the Amazing Spider-Man movies to be canon to the MCU. And again, we talked about it before, there were plans for Avengers Tower to be featured in the cityscape of the TASM movies, and for Oscorp to be in the cityscape of Avengers.
Yes.
None of those things really came to fruition, partly due to allegedly time constraints with like CGI and whatnot.
Which we know that's not a problem anymore.
Not anymore. but more than likely due to them not being able to reach an agreement, because Sony, and going all the way back to episode 0, one of our favorite characters, motherfucking Avi Arad, holding on to the Spider-Man IP with a goddamn like death
gun. With a gun.
And a gun.
It's a hostage situation.
So part of what's revealed is Kevin Feige basically begging Amy Pascal to like take multiple.
Please let me do this.
Not just that. Well, hold on. Not only that, not just like let's share Spider-Man. This is the most iconic Marvel character. We have built a universe around all of these characters nobody cared about.
We can all play in the sandbox. Let's be
What
serious.
if we just share this character? Sony wasn't having it. Kevin Feige was also begging Amy Pascal to like have them take more passes at Amazing Spider-Man 2, because Kevin Feige was like, this screenplay is fucking incomprehensible.
Wait, who is the extra villain? The third one?
Well, how are you counting? Because we got Rhino in the last 5 seconds of the movie.
No, yeah.
We have Electro throughout the movie.
Baby Green Goblin.
And then Meth Mouth Goblin.
Yeah. Who is such a, like, that's such a thing for me, because I love Dean DeHaan. Or Dean DeHaan. I always thought it was Dean. I thought he was such a phenomenal actor. I got to see him in Cure for Wellness with Jason Isaacs and Mia Goth. and like maybe that's not a profoundly beloved movie because it kind of was okay. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and then I got to see him in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I was like, okay, I get where we're going. And then we
I
didn't
hate you,
get there.
Spider-Man.
Then we crashed the car on the bridge. It fucking went off. It was Beetlejuice in this shit. Okay, like it was hanging.
Yeah. But yeah, so like we find out that like Marvel Studios had been beseeching Sony to like let's share Spider-Man because we have so much to gain. Both of us have so much to gain if we do this.
Please. It's a
And
financial boon for both of us.
and
We're
the groundwork
begging
gets set
you.
here. Hold on for a second. But like the groundwork gets set. I'm on a roll. I can't lose my train of thought here because this is so vivid to me. So people find out, and this groundswell begins of people being like, "What the fuck are you doing? Put Spider-Man in the MCU." Announcements come. Next Captain America movie is going to be fucking Civil War, a storyline that Spider-Man plays a crucial role in. And people are like, Spider-Man, 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 Spider-Man. Rumors are swirling. Rumors are swirling. They might do it. An agreement might be made. And I vividly remember I was sitting in my sophomore year history class, and
I'm in college.
I got a YouTube notification from CBC that said something to the effect of, "We won, he's home."
Oh,
And
you lost it.
I'm
Were
like,
you crying
and I'm
in
like,
person?
no, not yet. I wasn't crying, but I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I'm like waiting for Mr. Wetzel to shut the fuck up so I can open up my
Don't name
laptop.
drop your teacher like that. God.
Oh, I'm like, I use his full government, but I'm like waiting for him to shut the fuck up so I can open YouTube, and I open it and I click on
Teachers
it.
only have one government. It's their pronoun, suffix, and then their last name.
Sure. But either way, it's this video of Armin saying they did it, a deal has been reached, and I remember him holding up, I think it was a blanket that had like the cover art of Amazing Fantasy 15 on it, of like Spider-Man like swinging through the city holding on to the guy, the story that introduced Spider-Man. And I just remember Armin holding it up like a flag, jumping up and down, and it was like a minute long video. It was just him saying it happened and him jumping up and down, and then all the trades were like, Marvel to introduce Spider-Man to the MCU, Captain America Civil War. And I remember it. I'm watching all the casting news. I remember for the longest time, everybody was like, it's going to be Asa Butterfield playing Peter Parker because he was the front runner. And then out of nowhere comes this young ingenue acrobat
Ingenue.
who was in like Billie Holiday or whatever shit. And everybody lost their minds. And I remember the casting, and I remember we got our first teaser, had no Spider-Man in it. And then the second teaser came out, and everybody was like, this is going to be the one with Spider-Man. And I remember it as, I remember it being I remember the day the second trailer came out vividly as well, not just because of the Spider-Man of it all, but because it acted as kind of like a salve on a really ugly day. Because a friend of mine, I did not know them as well as many of my other friends did. A friend of ours who had lost a battle with depression. I remember the trailer coming out that day.
Yeah.
And I remember everybody was, again, like a bunch of my friends are all just horrendous mood. Obviously, like everybody finds out while we're at school what happened. And but this trailer came out that day, and I remember it being kind of like a shot in the arm to kind of lift everyone's spirits on a horrible day. And I remember like just everyone's in the doldrums, and it's watching this trailer, and it was like the only thing that week that had me like on my fucking feet filled with joy was that moment of the all right, I'm tired of this. Underoos! Hey everyone. Boom. May 6th, 2016.
Yeah.
And like everybody holding their breath. And I remember there's so many shots in the trailer if you go back and you look at a lot of the shots in the Captain America Civil War trailers, you can see where Spider-Man has been CGI'd out.
Oh, yeah.
Because while they were still trying to figure this out, the word on the street, I don't know how true this is. I mean, I think it's fairly true just because of the logistics. There were basically 2 shooting scripts for this movie. One with Spider-Man and one without Spider-Man. And you can see that because all things considered,
Well, because
Spider-Man,
yeah, he could get cut
you
relatively
could
easily.
very easily cut Spider-Man out of this movie.
Yeah.
And, do I want that? Obviously not.
But it would be if all things came down to it at the end of all the legal battles, cut him. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So there's a shot in the trailer where War Machine is flying at the camera with that weird stun baton he had.
Mm-hmm.
We know in the movie the camera moves a little bit and we see that Peter's hitching a ride on Rhodey.
On him, yeah.
That exact shot is in the movie, but you don't see Spider-Man. All of the shots in the airport fight of Team Cap, or Team Iron Man, Team Cap, and again in the movie it's Spider-Man War Machine.
Yeah.
And in the trailers, Spider-Man is not in that lineup, and it's
it's easy to
And I just need to make clear, I know people who watch Teen App know that I am a fucking Spider-Man guy through and through.
Yeah.
People who watch this show know because there's a print
There's
of
a guy
Superior
there.
Spider-Man on the wall behind me. That no matter how many times I try to fix it, it gets exactly that level of crooked. But it was such a big deal to me because I
think it's either because the painting is crooked or the camera is crooked. It can't be both.
Yeah, but it's the
that's what I mean. One of them
crooked.
will always be
a little askew. Yeah, but I just remember I'm watching this golden age of superhero movies happen in front of me. I'm watching the DC universe revving up.
For what it was.
And again, as nobody will ever let me live down, and it's because I told the truth about my reaction to it. This March 25th, 2016 at 12:45 in the morning, I stood up having finished watching Batman v Superman in my local theater and out loud proclaimed better than Avengers.
Wow. Hope they never let that down. Yeah. I hope everybody keeps it alive forever.
But I remember just the DCEU is starting up, and the MCU is doing all these things. I remember just feeling so kind of dejected that I'm like, oh, I'm loving seeing all these characters come to life, and I'm getting more into superhero comics and all of these things. But I'm like, my guy is kind of languishing in the corner.
Yeah, he's not here.
And
until he's here.
And nobody likes the Amazing Spider-Man movies at the time. Don't let any of this revisionist history about Andrew Garfield and his great performances in those movies.
It is the same thing that always happens forever. The moment something comes out that people are just immediate, they are I'm not in love with it. They tear it down, and then 5 or 10 years later, they are actually, that was the greatest thing in the entire world. No offense, everybody understands. I'm a Swiftie. She's so
yes.
So everybody knows that every time a Taylor Swift album comes out, it's the worst one that's ever come out, but it's actually great. And then it does get appreciated for 3 years, and then everybody comes back around to it. And this Amazing Spider-Man is a victim of that.
Nobody liked those movies. Everybody pretends they were better than the Tom Holland movies, but I just remember being like, man, I wish this could happen. And again, because of CBC understanding the rights issues and understanding we will never get a solo Hulk movie because of the Universal stuff. I'm not, and having to accept that allegedly we kept getting close to Spider-Man being in the MCU and then Sony snatching it away. We kept getting close and it kept getting snatched away. We talked about it on the Age of Ultron episode, that fake post-credit scene where I was like, I knew good and goddamn well it wasn't real. I knew in my soul it wasn't real. My heart didn't want to accept it, so I stayed to the last moment of those credits just to make sure. And
I was there to make sure my boy didn't die, but he actually did die, and everything
very
sucks.
dead. But yeah, this movie was so important to me because the Spider-Man of it all. Spider-Man, my favorite superhero ever, is finally in the biggest film franchise since Star Wars. On top of that, the Civil War storyline is what made me a Marvel fan. Going back to something I have not brought up in a minute, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, a game I played so much in the years leading up to this. What'd you say?
Sorry, I thought I muted my mic.
So, like, a game I played so much in the lead up to this, or just lead up to like the MCU existing, was adapting Civil War. And I loved the story in the comics so much that like I got the trade, or I like the story in the game so much I read the trade paperback of Civil War, and was like, oh man, like this story is so much about Spider-Man, and this movie coming into existence meant so much to me, and like not to be like, oh ha ha ha, they were wrong, because I spend all day glazing them all the time already, but like I remember CBC and all the other Cape shit channels I tuned into from time to time, but primarily CBC, also saying like, oh, like this feels like the obvious Captain America story to tell, but how do you do it while all of these crucial characters are in the wind?
Yeah.
And it was like, they'll never do it. They'll never do it. They'll never do it. And then they announced it, and I was over the
And they
moon.
did it. And they not only they did it, but they doubled down on it.
And yeah, and like this story about like the fall of the superhuman community as we know it, about like the age of heroes kind of crumbling. I don't know, like this story, like this movie even existing means a lot to me. So that's absolutely a part of it, and part of it is that I just love everything about this movie. But with all that said, we can actually start a real discussion here, unless one of the animals is beseeching you.
They are beseeching me.
I will pause so they can beseech you. All right. Now that the dog is done being beseeched, let's talk about the movie.
The dog who was beseeching has now decided to dig her own bed in the couch.
Wonderful.
Yes. Let's get to it.
Get everything you have to say out of the way.
Okay. First of all, we open up and it's the Winter Soldier being mind controlled to do a less than good thing. Okay. I don't say that the assassination of any people are good, but
Right.
that's where we open up to, right? Okay. Now we're in Lagos, Nigeria. Okay. So some of these notes are not maybe entirely accurate, as Jared would be extremely familiar with. So this is the year of our Lord 2016. I know I graduated about a year before, but while I was in high school, there was a very bad thing going on. And Crossbones is definitely getting Ebola. Okay. He's getting Ebola from the bank. Right. Okay. That's bad. That is objectively bad. Okay. So then he goes on to dog walk the Avengers. Okay. He almost killed Nat, and then he almost killed Cap, and then Cap doinked his way down the exterior of the building,
Right.
much the same as Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire and James Franco doinking his way across New York. So that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Then Cap was like, I'm not gonna let you blow up this little market. And so Wanda was going to do the exact same thing that she did with Crossbones as she did with the gas attack, which is funnel it up into the sky. We all understand that, okay? That is not a question. That is not a thing we're going to debate. That is very obviously what she was trying to do based on her training, because that's what she did with the gas attack.
Yes, and she's being actively coached the entire time by the rest of the Avengers, making sure that she knows what she's doing.
So he exploded before she could get him into free airspace. That was
Well,
a
no, he was
key.
in the process of exploding. She lost control of the telekinetic barrier.
False, false, false.
Now he's covered
He
in red and it releases.
Okay, because he was actively exploding, right?
He was in the process of exploding.
So she is using her very infant abilities to get him into free airspace so that way he explodes above the buildings. However, he is actively exploding. And, much like in the original Captain America movie, when you jump on a bomb, you jump on a grenade, you're just trying to minimize the damage, right? You're just trying to
Yeah.
minimize the damage. You can't control whether or not it's going to kill the other people. You're just trying to use your body as a meat shield, okay? She was using her powers as a meat shield. However, she was horrified and traumatized because she did to those people exactly what happened to her and Pietro entirely accidentally. She blew up an apartment building. Exactly the same thing that happened to her and Pietro with the Stark bomb. She blew up a fucking building of families and children and just innocent people.
Yeah.
And she was horrified and traumatized because she inflicted exactly what happened to her onto 50, 60 random people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what
And
was
and
in
11
act
Wakandans because I made sure I wrote down the exact number.
and what adds like the insult to injury for Wanda is that in the same way that it was like, be it direct or indirect, those were American weapons being used in Sokovia. Like this was another instance
Of
of
Hydra
um,
weapons being used
well,
in
no, but some amount of American intervention, be it direct or indirect,
a
the
foreign
Avengers being
country.
an institution in a foreign country
Ooh,
leading
well.
to wanton bloodshed.
So then Tony is introduced to the mother of Charlie Spencer, who died in Sokovia. And I unfortunately come from a background of not insignificant amount of death and trauma. So I have an extremely different view of what death is compared to other people. I think it's a, pretty natural part of the cycle of life. Now, Tony Stark, on the other hand, is entirely guilt-ridden by this one individual child, like person, not child, adult man who was killed in Sokovia.
The child of the person who is
The child
chastising
of
him.
the person who is chastising him. And it's like, okay, sorry, lady. I could have just not done Jack. I'm sorry that your child died in collateral damage while we were trying to not let Psycho Robot, who he created, um, kill every single person in the world. Sorry. Okay. Unfortunately, I also did a lot of philosophy studying in college, and the trolley problem is indeed it is indeed a problem. Okay. Nevertheless, I gotta kill that one person. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm sorry. Like, like, I feel like it's not fair for me to be like, well, if my mom was the person on the one person track and like five random children were on the other side, I'd be like, yeah, I'll kill my mom. She's already dead. So like that's not a fair
Oh,
comparison, right?
okay.
It's not. It's not. But I understand. I understand where people have that problem. Okay. I it's not the same comparison for me because that person is factually already there. Okay. The train is running over invisible track.
Okay.
But nevertheless, we go to Secretary Ross, who would have been totally dope if it was Harrison Ford. I'm just saying.
Yes.
I think that would have been such a cool thing to see if Harrison Ford played this role. And the Sokovia Accords were ratified by 117 countries. Don't worry, I made sure I noted all of the specifics. Now, this is a UN panel-based approval for deployment as if they were soldiers or assets or agents or a militia.
Right.
And I think that's pretty bad. Okay. Like, I'm not gonna lie, is Steve entirely right? No, there's no hetero explanation for what he does in this film. There's not, to me. I'm sorry. Jarod, I get you would do what Steve did for Bucky for me in this movie. I am going to knock a bitch out and I'm going to take her in, okay, for my friends. Because I love my friends. But I also know that some other random whore is just around, okay,
All
fucking
right.
shit up.
I can't. Okay, I can't tell what point you're building to, and I don't want to get lost in a like.
In my notes, you asked me to
In
read my notes.
okay,
That's actually the first page of my
I
notes.
was
I'll stop
asking for
there.
your grievances because I don't know if we're going into like into I don't like Zemo's plan territory,
Oh,
or if
no,
you want to have
we
this
are.
debate yet. I don't want.
It's
We're
both.
42 minutes in. I don't want to do a full recap of the movie.
Okay, well, too late. We already did that. So I already recapped the movie from my point of view, and I think it's a pretty accurate recap. Because we are at the point where shit's about to get real. Okay. Now we're at the Sokovia Accords. So Jarod, if you would like to litigate that, I think this is the opportune time to do that. Because after this, we will start to litigate Zemo's plan.
I am more so in the MCU than I am in the comics. Team Iron Man. I think the internal logic of the MCU, for the most part, supports and justifies the fact that the Avengers being able to act with full autonomy, with zero oversight, has in fact led to a lot of catastrophic issues. And as the Vision says, there is the
Don't
element
say the
of
Vision like the refrigerator.
no, he
Just
is called
say
the Vision.
Vision. No, it's for me. It's for me. Because if you're going to say the Vision, I would say the microwave says this. The air fryer says this. The stand mixer
Can
says
you give me
this.
5 more appliances?
The toaster oven says this. The food processor says this. The salad spinner says this.
You're just saying things you can see in the kitchen.
I actually can't because I'm not looking back. But
Either way, as
I hate Vision most of the time. I think he's extremely charismatic in the MCU, and I hate that more.
but as Vision says,
Thank you.
sure. As Vision says, the
Vision is a
existence of the
name.
invention.
The Vision is a
Okay.
noun.
Okay. As Vision says, the existence of the Avengers breeds challenge. And that means that there are going to be people who inevitably want to rise to
What
the
a
occasion
hyper
to try to face them off
masculine
with them.
view of the world. Just saying.
I mean, but that is the reality
It's
of like
right.
superhero
No,
stories.
it's right. It's true. Like I am not debating anything that you just said because you quoted him specifically. Him, I say as a person, not a noun. Um,
Okay.
that's growth for me. Okay.
Yes.
Um,
But it
it
is true. You look at every single superhero
yeah,
story, like,
it's inherent, but it's inherently
Gotham was bad
hyper
before the Batman
masculine,
came around, and then the Batman came around, and then
It got
Gotham got.
worse.
It's not even necessarily that it got worse; it got weirder.
It's just it's a if one person it's a if somebody buys a gun, then everybody has to get a gun. Like it's one of those like weird like all right, I got a one up, the one up, the one up, the one up.
Yeah,
But
and
like
like
I get that.
the technology that supports the Avengers' ability to do what they do begins to proliferate. Everything from the illegal vibranium trade that Ulysses Claw is up to,
The Chitauri weapons that
Chitauri weapons that are being
Janice
sold on
Ian's from Mean Girls is into.
the Chitauri weapons that are being sold on the black market as well. People trying to replicate the Iron Man armor. More and more alien creatures, aliens. Like from beyond the cosmos that are going, oh, Earth can play now.
Plus the Spider-Mans, plus the Miss Marvels that we're very closely getting to.
Yeah, like Earth as a whole is open for business the way as far as the rest of the universe is concerned.
Well, it's the same thing that was the fear of like the going into space, sending like we sent this like um essentially a time capsule into space with like the Beatles and a gold plated vinyl so that way like if other intelligent beings were to get it, they may be able to like listen to this album or you know Carl Sagan did it. It's a whole thing. But like it's that. It's the
Yeah,
that of it all.
and
It's the extraterrestrial like well what if all of that is
well,
real.
right, and also you go to what we've been talking about with like Tony, who is for all intents and purposes our main character of this chapter of the MCU.
Has been the entire time.
Like
And
we've
will be
said,
continuously.
yes, but
Unfortunately through every Spider-Man movie too.
yes, but the as we've kind of said before, it's the arms race of it all. The Avengers being allowed to act with impunity leads to catastrophe. And there should be some amount of oversight. Institutions are not perfect. Institutions are not without their flaws. And anybody who knows my real world politics know I am not here to bask in some neoliberal sunshine that says that the body politic and normalcy is inherently moral or good. However, there being some amount of legal authority to control the comings and goings of the Avengers
I feel
is
like that's
not
what
a bad
Shield was
idea.
though. Like until it was
It wasn't,
Hydra.
but Shield never was that. Shield never was
Well,
that. The Avengers weren't answering
I
directly to
guess Nick
Shield.
Fury was. And they weren't the
Like the Avengers saved New York, and then they all went their separate ways. And then Shield fell, and then the Avengers were playing Shield. And I think that so much
somebody
of
had to play
what
Shield because they just let Hydra be flapping in the wind.
and I think so much of why
That's actually the
the
government though, isn't it? The
sure.
government just let Shield be flopping in the wind.
I mean, Shield fell and then nobody knew what to do with themselves because Natasha leaked all those documents. I'm not saying that's bad, but like everybody's kind of playing catch up, trying to either
But
decipher all of Shield's files or clean up messes made by them. But so much of what happens here, and I've said it before in a semi-joking way, but like semi meaning I am partially serious when I say it. Steve Rogers in this movie does not truly, fundamentally have any real pushback to the Sokovia Accords on a fundamental philosophical level. He does not. He is devoid of any real pushback to the Accords. In fact, he is about to sign them and agree to them until he finds out that Tony put the Scarlet Witch on house arrest. Which, again, extrajudicially, maybe. But this situation is actively on fucking fire. A sovereign nation's leader was murdered in broad fucking daylight as these accords are about to be signed. The sovereign leader of the people who were killed when Wanda Maximoff made an honest mistake. Something went down, heat of the moment. You can't control every single variable. I don't think anybody who is sincerely on the pro Sokovia Accords side of this debate thinks Wanda Maximoff was acting with any amount of.
Well, actually, because the entire movie is that. Like, all of the background news is literally Wanda Maximoff killed X amount of civilians, including 11 Wakandans on a peace mission.
Sure, people are saying it that way because that is what happened. She made a mistake in the field. There's no two ways about that. Doesn't make Wanda bad. It does not say anything about Wanda's character.
But
outside of the fact that you have somebody with these,
them is insane.
They were killed on her watch through her actions.
Otherwise, all of the people in the square are killed on her watch and on her actions and on that's not. If she did nothing, how many more people? Like,
if somebody makes a mistake in the field, they need there's an amount of accountability. Again, I do not think Wanda Maximoff should be drawn and quartered over what happens to that building. But the fact remains, she made a choice and it got people hurt. And if the Avengers had more support in the field, something that could come with some amount of oversight, they may have been able to cut
organization that they would have been a part of, who would have even known if they would have agreed.
That the Avengers would also have input on if they could actually agree to the Accords.
But that's unfortunately not what was stated. It was based on the 117 countries that would base the UN panel.
And Tony says that they know that once the Accords are signed, and the UN knows the Avengers are willing to come to the table and work with them, amendments can be made.
Amendments can be made. That is not a guarantee they will be.
That's not maybe fact, okay, it's not a guarantee.
That is not even the offer that amendments will be proposed. Amendments could never be proposed. Everybody here in this room could sign this agreement. This is the agreement that they are signing. That is litigiously, that's it. You are agreeing to, and this is let's be serious. Let's go all the way back to every amendment, that is the thing that is the issue with when you say I am proposing this Bill of Rights. Well, this Bill of Rights is not entirely inclusive, and it does not include the protections that need to be made for the people to accurately have these rights. Well, yeah, amendments will need to be made, but there is no guarantee that amendments will be made. Let's look at the US Constitution. There was never a guarantee that women or black people would ever have the right to vote or be people. So when we look at it, when we look at a document as a legally binding source of information, something that if I sign and I agree to and I violate in any way, I am sanctioned to whatever punishment they have predetermined, which we know is the raft. We know it's the raft because that's immediately what everything is sent. Everybody, Tony comes in and is I didn't think this is where they would send you. Okay, well, then you didn't read the Accords, because the Accords is the foundation for what everything that the government is going to do. Not the people, not Tony, not the characters at all. The characters may have no real input on any of this, and they don't, because we see that. But when you're looking at a document and you have to say either I agree to everything here or I agree to nothing, that's the line. You can't go through and strike out what you don't agree to.
Oh, here's what I will push back on with that. First of all,
Because I was say even Tony again signed this agreement not knowing that the violators were going to the raft.
okay, here's where that part falls apart though. They're in the raft because they
Because they
courted a
violated
fight.
the agreement.
They violated the agreement by allowing this fight to go down at this airport in Germany.
No,
That is why they're in the raft. If they
they
didn't
are in
sign
the
the
raft
accords,
because they
Thunderbolt Ross says because they say, and if we don't sign, you retire. That is what's
Clint
going on
did.
here. And in an active, there is a difference between violating the accord. And let's say
Agreed to
somebody who signs the
retire.
accords. Hold on. Let's say somebody who signs the accords violates them. They're probably looking at some type of court martial or being like compelled to retire their post as whatever superhero they are.
And if they don't,
The
then they go to the
reason
raft.
the reason why, like, basically the Secret Avengers, because it's basically the team we're looking at here, end up in the raft is because they were complicit in trying to abscond with Bucky Barnes.
And because they violated the agreements that were ratified by the UN and signed off by Team Iron Man, they were sent to the raft. Like that is how that works. They weren't just sent to prison. If because if that was the solution, that's where they would be, right? That's where Clint would be specifically, right? He's not powered. Same thing with Scott. He's also not powered. So they are unempowered individuals who are on the raft solely because they violated the Sokovia Accords because they did not sign it and they violated the law that was then in place.
Well, no, the law they violated was aiding and abetting Steve,
No,
like making off with Bucky Barnes. Yes, the accords are a part of it, but like
the accords were signed and the press conference of the accords was what was blown up.
Yes.
Yes. So therefore, the accords are now in place. So everybody who did not sign them essentially agreed to retire, right?
Sure.
Because they did not sign the agreement.
Yeah.
So then they in turn violate the agreement by participating in this
The crime
event.
that Captain America is committing. Yes.
The crime that Captain America is committing, the crime in which his best friend, who was being mind controlled by somebody who the government let in to read the special little red book,
Okay.
because they didn't know he was impersonating somebody who they hired. Let's be serious, you already named him, it's Joe Russo. They hired him to do the interrogation with Bucky, but for some reason nobody knew what he looked like, and that's bullshit actually. Because period, if I'm a guard, I'm
Okay.
given a picture, right? I'm given a
We
picture. Okay, I have to look for this guy, and that's whose ID I have to check.
okay, and okay, we're moving into like you don't like the Zemo's
No, I'm
plan
not.
stuff,
Like
but
I'm
like
literally still going through this because here's the thing is that like the issue of like this is a law that is in place. And the issue of okay, they're aiding and abetting Bucky Barnes for escaping from a prison that they sent him into that also then in turn was a prison where his abuser was going to come back, not specifically but the book uh and we'll obviously get into that because obviously like I'm getting into now more of his plan, but no, I aiding and abetting is one thing, but like when you get to the end of the film and Tony is like, all right, you guys were both right, we were all wrong, the guy wasn't the guy and Bucky didn't mean to do the attempted murder and you guys were right.
okay, and this is where the issue comes in because Steve is on his self-sanctimonious fucking high horse this whole goddamn movie.
And
Had
Tony decided to not listen to him.
no, Tony is also on his high horse. That's why the end of this movie is so affecting to me. But what I'm trying to say is that had Steve played ball at all, had Steve gone, there are other voices in the room. Maybe we can try to be diplomatic and negotiate here. Had Steve not run off half cocked,
Do you mean
had
the
Steve
voices that
not,
were trying to actively actually shoot Bucky Barnes? Because
yes,
the
the people who were
only
trying to
reason that
assassinate
they
him. If
didn't
Steve was there, if
was
Steve was
Steve.
there,
The only
if
reason they didn't murder him was Steve in
that's
the
not true,
apartment.
Bucky would have been fine. Bucky had that
Okay.
shit. Bucky
Yeah.
had that shit.
All right. And then
A
you're going to
bunch
be
of
like, well, Bucky's the bad person for killing all
like
these
special
people.
ops grunts
Yeah.
are going to be able to kill the Winter Soldier.
Bucky literally was like, yeah, it's smart for them to try to kill me, and they should. And then halfway through him running away, he was like, honestly, it would just make more sense if I just die. And Steve was like,
Wait,
no, it doesn't, because you didn't do anything wrong here. And Bucky is like, well, it
sure.
doesn't really matter because I've done wrong, so I should
Okay.
just die.
By the time that the United Nations has Bucky in custody and they are already investigating what happened, they are all we are already beginning to realize that there is a trail of bodies being left behind between the psychologist that Joe Russo plays, between like all of these random like former Hydra people turning up dead. Like they are not far behind from the United Nations figuring out, oh shit, there's somebody else in play here. If Steve, when Tony shows up with FDR's pens, signs that document and does not go after and like does not actively try to intercept, hide, and escape the country with Bucky Barnes, they would have been able to uncover the mystery here together.
He
The
literally says,
UN,
I would call Tony, but Tony will not believe us. He needs more proof. And it's not until Tony gets more proof that he's like, actually, I was wrong the entire time. So even if Steve
because Steve
would
is
have,
actively picking a fight, because he's calling in Clint, because he's breaking out Wanda, because they're calling in fucking Ant-Man, because Steve is building a force to fight Tony with.
so Steve said all of that before he called anybody. It was right after he broke Bucky out and he got him out from the mind control. He literally says to Sam, because Sam was like, who do you think we can call? And Steve says, I would call Tony, but he won't believe us. So I don't know what to do from here except pursue this lead. And then
Sure,
Sam says,
but
well, I know a guy.
I know, but what I'm saying is they are, by doing so, they are actively making the situation harder. There were opportunities for diplomacy that Steve chose against because
Because
of
he
Sharon
knew
Carter's
Tony wouldn't
little when they say
listen.
move, don't
All
fucking
right.
like speech at the funeral. That's what I'm getting at. Steve had opportunities to make peace about this. And let's also
And
remember,
he
Steve
couldn't.
withheld the information about the Winter Soldier assassinating the Starks. There, like Steve makes so many mistakes here that directly contribute to the wheels completely falling off. So much so that
If
almost all of this, please hold on. So much of this that can be circumvented if Steve plays fucking ball and signs the fucking accords. If Steve signs the accords, they have more control over the situation. Instead, we want to do this lone gunman fucking cowboy bullshit where he gets to go rogue and call in all his buddies who can go rogue with him. Like, he makes this situation actively worse. Steve, like again, by breaking Wanda out.
and it's
They're
not like
like,
Iron
what does
Man
that
grabbed a
serve?
child or anything to
What,
fight
by
with
breaking
him.
Wanda out of the Avengers compound? What purpose does that fucking serve beyond instigating more of a conflict? There is no reason to do that. She is safe. She is under zero duress.
Oh yeah, because house arrest without being told you're on house arrest is a super cool thing to do. I love secret house arrest. I also love bringing children into international disputes with my former best friend. I think those are two cool, super great things to do.
Again, and I'm not saying that Tony doesn't make mistakes. I'm saying the mistakes Steve make are what escalate this situation exponentially.
And again, even Nat, who is on his side, is like, actually, no, you guys need to go fucking figure out whatever's going on up there because you guys are totally right.
Something everybody would have been in the room for had Steve not gone AWOL.
Unfortunately, once again, Steve already said he's not going to believe me, and we know he wouldn't because he doesn't until he gets proof of the dead guy, proof of fucking prosthetics found in the room.
And all of that happens not long after the airport fight. If the airport fight doesn't happen,
also such a weird thing because like the continuity of the film for the rest of the time, like between when Bucky and Steve leave to when Iron Man leaves to when Iron Man gets to the raft to when the boys get to Serbia and then Iron Man gets to Serbia is such a close time period, despite them doing insanely different things.
the Millennium
So
Falcon moves
many
at the
hours.
speed of plot. That's shit I don't really care about.
No, it
But
is
like,
something I care about because you have a Quinjet and you're telling me that you guys needed this so that way you guys could stop that guy from activating 5 or 6 Winter Soldiers. But Bootman gets here in half the time after going to talk to your other plot mates about how wrong he actually was low key, but he's still like cool.
Either way, what I'm trying to say is that the discovery of prosthetics, of the dead psychiatrist, all of those things, if Steve comes to Tony, and I truly believe this, if Steve comes to Tony and goes, "Hey, I know where Bucky is. I have him sequestered. We legitimately have reason to believe mind control, there is a patsy involved, blah, blah, blah. The situation is different than it is being presented, and we need to approach it as such." There is an opportunity there to, if not immediately persuade Tony, buy enough time with this not turning in to a superpowered brawl in an airport to get us to the point where prosthetics are found and the psychiatrist's body is discovered.
Well, you know,
And
if
they
they
go,
actually,
"Oh
if
shit."
Team Cap
'Cause
would
they
have actually
already
gotten
knew.
out of the airport and they would have actually gotten onto the plane and into Serbia, then none of it would have actually happened. They would have just been there to catch Zemo and
And again, but you need to understand they can't take Cap at face value. They can't. Because of the clusterfuck he causes when he intervenes when those special forces people are going after the Winter Soldier. Again, if Cap is present, if Cap is playing ball, if Cap is not late to the party, bless you. If Cap is not late to the party because he refuses to go to the signing out of some act of protest, bless you, out of some act of protest, like he can be there to go, hey, wait a minute. I have the most experience of dealing with the Winter Soldier. Let me help with this. Steve
but I don't think they would have.
continuously,
No, they would never have let him even do that. Be so serious.
they would have
You're
needed
too
him.
close to this, Steve.
Yes, and then the people who are pro registration can then vouch for him, like they try to throughout the movie. My point is that Steve fundamentally chooses to not have a seat at the table because he is doing this bullshit by being involved at all. I am compromised. Instead of trying to come to a compromise. Steve burns all of his goodwill by being obstinate to a fatal fault.
Which is unfortunate because the characters in the film would not agree, as in T'Challa, who immediately is like, no, I get exactly where you and Bucky were coming from. I will not only get it, I will offer you infinite protection from the entire forces of Wakanda. In so much as Steve says to T'Challa, the man who said, I'm gonna kill your boy space friend for non-Stucky shippers. And Steve was like, but they're gonna like if they find out he's here, they're all gonna come for him. And T'Challa was like, bet, let him. Like, we're good. I'm good. I'm gonna keep your boys safe. I'm gonna keep you safe because I know you guys actually didn't do anything wrong.
I just believe, and this is where the debate part can end, because I know we're not changing the other one's mind.
No, we're not. That's also I agree because I've moved on to Zemo.
I know you have. I just, again, the Sokovia
T'Challa's on
Accords,
my side, so that's all that matters
the
to me.
Sokovia Accords, sure he is. The Sokovia Accords,
Yes.
the Superhuman Registration Act, whichever version of this is, yes, imperfect, but Steve's hubris here is proof positive of why there needs to be something.
And since you finished this debate first, I will have the closing statement.
Sure.
And my closing statement is Jarod, you're wrong. Everybody boo Jarod. And also, T'Challa is on my side. And with that, I will get into Baron Halmat Zemo, another villain that T'Challa and I have a lot of feelings about.
After we pause for a little bit.
Neither confirmation or denial.
All right, we're back. We took a little breaky to watch
A thing.
the most emblematic retirement match I've seen in my small time as a wrestling fan.
A thing.
Um,
Because we don't want to date ourselves.
no, I'll date us. This is why I stopped watching WWE.
Yeah.
I got so much great shit so early on, and then it all fell apart after that. Anyway, Taylor doesn't like Zemo's plot, and I get it. It's kind of insane and Byzantine. I'll give you that.
Yeah. You wanna go through my detailed rundown?
Go for it.
Okay. So Zemo, first plot, lost his family. That sucks. Sometimes it's just shitty. So then he begins plotting. Okay. And we're all cool with that. He used prosthetics to imitate Bucky to like plant the bombs and stuff. He killed and stole the identity of Joe Russo, famously in this episode.
Yes.
Because nobody remembers that guy's name. But nobody checked his ID. Nobody checked this dude's ID. They would have had pictures of the real guy because they hired him. And I am familiar with hiring people because I've done that. And you usually are like, oh, that's you. Nobody did that because they look totally different.
Can I weigh in on that real quick?
You sure can.
I think that was a staff person who had a very niche job. I don't think they were hired specifically to come talk to Bucky. I think it was just somebody who worked there.
No, it actually
And
was somebody who was specifically hired because they were like, we got this guy from out of the country because he is an expert on psychotherapy, and we thought that he would be the best person to talk to Bucky based on his deep trauma. Like it was actually very like it was
okay.
the guy was like, that's the thing. That's what like raised the red flag for me was that it was not just some guy. It was like a guy.
Okay, fair enough. But still, I do not think it is beyond the realm of possibility that while the UN
That
is trying to put out,
nobody checked this guy's ID.
I
He
think
got
they
through
did. I
gate.
don't think it's unrealistic to say that Zemo made a fake badge that got through security.
That's not what I'm
He
saying.
is,
I am just saying that like they hired a specific guy, right? Like
yeah. And
That
Zemo
is
impersonated him and like had fake
no,
credentials to
no.
get it.
But
You said I
they
could
ha
weigh in. I'm weighing in.
but they hired a specific guy. No, you weighed in, and now it is my turn.
Okay. Okay.
You hire a specific guy. The specific guy usually has a face, right? Like one face. Um, and even if you're gonna like task three guys to know that guy, like the doormen, um, that kind of stops that real quick, and you're like, wait, you're not the guy who's supposed to interrogate the 19th level DEF CON soldier assassin guy who killed JFK in the basement, okay? You're not supposed to talk to him because there's one guy who's supposed to talk to him. He killed JFK, and only one guy is supposed to talk to him, and it's not you. You're like 20 years younger than him. So then he gets there and he does the stupid little book thing because and I have never experienced this in my entire life. And I did mention it on the audio commentary. I have never in my life, you know what? Actually, I can't say that. I'm mad we didn't record this on the day that we watched it
Yeah. A
because
little bit of peek behind the curtain. I mentioned it on TNAP that we did these a little out of order.
I have to retract a statement I made during the audio commentary.
Yeah.
I do. Because during the audio commentary, I was like, there is no universe in which I have gotten a shipping update that it has been delivered to my home in like minutes between when it was delivered and when it actually like hit my phone, right?
Right.
Until today. And Taylor Swift delivered an order, not personally, naturally, to my door. And I got the shipping notification that it was delivered the literal nanosecond that it hit my porch. And not only did I get it the literal nanosecond it hit my porch, I ordered it 2 days ago. And it was coming from like California or something. So like I have to not give Zemo the credit here. Okay. Because if
Right.
Taylor Swift can do it, then I have to believe Baron von Helmut Zemo, who is not that guy, did it. Because that's not technically his name. But it is to me. And then we're gonna just jump right past that now that I have gotten over the fact that getting the notification for the bomb in synchronicity with everything else he was doing worked out for him. It did. That was crazy. And so he sets Bucky loose to like lead him to Serbia. And that's cool. Um, you know, Jared, I'm getting feedback from your side of me.
Oh shit. Hold on. Let me pause.
Uh,
Mild technical difficulty, and we're back.
mild technical difficulty. Um, I can still hear myself, but it's fine. I'll just be a little bit quieter for myself. So he mind controls Bucky, and nobody knows what's going on except for Sharon, Steve, and Falcon.
Sam.
Yeah. And they fuck right off because they know nobody's going to believe them because they're implicitly going to be on Bucky's side. And everybody already is unsure of them and not super up with it. So they go fuck off and they try to get Bucky, but then they get the ass beat by Bucky. And Bucky fucks off. And then Steve does his little muscles. Uh,
The
which
helicopter shot, which is awesome.
puts him in the water. And therefore, Steve then takes Bucky to an undisclosed location, to a secondary location, which normally you should never go to a secondary location unless Steve Rogers is taking you. And then you should totally go. Um, so he gets to the secondary location and he starts blabbermouthing about everything he's ever done because he remembers everything. Big plot point later. But like only in a traumatic way, not like in a fun, I know information way. Um, and so he's like, if you go up to Serbia, which is exactly what this guy wanted to know, you guys are gonna find like 6 other dudes who suck really bad, including some women who also suck because they're dudes too, you know, genderless dudes. Um, and they're like, cool, we should call Tony, but also I don't think Tony's gonna listen to us because uh we stole this guy from out of the river, and Tony is already kind of mad about that. So let's just go do the thing, and once we do the thing, Tony's gonna be totally okay with it because we solved the thing, and that's the answer. So we are gonna go fuck off and do the thing. And Tony is like, hey, I'm gonna keep doing research because that's actually the right thing to do. And Tony's like boop a doop a doop a doop a doop a doop, and he gets the answer to the crime, which is prosthetics and Helmut von Zemo, who's probably still not that name. I'm fucking it up again. But then Tony goes to the raft where Clint has his epic monologue. Because no matter what, I'm sorry, Jeremy Renner always kills it. Here specifically. And then he almost gets killed by a snowplow. Things happen.
Yeah.
So he kills it, then almost gets killed by a snowplow. And then Tony goes up to Siberia and he admits to fucking up because they somehow arrived there at the exact same time, despite Steve and Bucky leaving so much earlier. So much earlier. And like no matter what you can tell me, like so much earlier. Because in what like Tony has to go back to the Avengers compound, talk to Nat, where Nat talks straight shit to him.
Are they at the Avengers compound or are they just at like
Yes,
the
no, they're
UN?
at
Because
the
okay,
Avengers
yeah, because it's the
compound.
hallway. Yeah.
Yeah, it like that's what I mean. Is that like this is where it all starts to fall apart for me. Is like hugely. Is that Steve and Bucky fuck off after the airport battle in what, Germany,
Yeah.
to go to Siberia. I don't know if you guys are super familiar with the globe, but it's on the same hemisphere. Okay. From that battle, Tony goes back to America, to San Diego, or wherever the fuck they have the new Avengers compound, upstate New
New
York.
York.
Sorry. That was yeah, that was the Young Avengers compound. The new Avengers compound, whatever. No, so upstate New York. So he goes all the way back to upstate New York following the battle at the airport, in which he also was getting roadie medical attention, right?
Yeah, I think that's why they're at
So
the
he
compound. He's
also
getting treated at. Yeah.
again, so from Germany all the way back to New York, to upstate New York, he is getting medical treatment and talking to Nat. And he is talking to Nat, and Nat is like, listen, you're not understanding because they're fucking right. There is something more going on here. And until we understand what the more thing going on here, I have to trust that the Winter Soldier, who I know because she alluded to that way back at the UN fight, where he was breaking out, where she was like, can't you at least pretend to recognize me? Can't you at least remember me? She knows something, and we will never know what she knows because that's a huge issue for me to come back to in our Black Widow episode. But she says, can't you at least remember me? He does not. So she knows something so much deeper. And that's when she says to Tony, you don't understand. I don't either, but you're not understanding this. And that's when the boo 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 uh dead body found in Vienna. It's the fucking psychologist. And this is the boop ba doop 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 guy. And like all of a sudden they get all of the information. Now we know who Helmut Zemo is. Now we know what's going on. Now we know what this. Now we know what this. And Tony is like, fuck. Everybody else has been right this entire time about this threat that we did not know about. So, how could the Sokovia Accords even attempt to solve this? We never knew about it. So then Tony fucks off to go to Serbia because he goes to the raft. And he's like, all right, what's really going on here? To the people who he was like literally rounding up as terrorists. Clint, yeah, you can raise your eyebrows, but Clint is doing his little monologue. He goes to Scott, I don't know who the fuck you are. Sam, I know who you are. I know you're close with Cap. I know you know what's going on. I'm going to go as a friend because you're asking me to, Sam, because I, Tony, am admitting I'm wrong. And that's exactly what happens. And that's when Sam says they're going to Serbia. I don't know what's going on. I just know it's fucking wrong. And I know that there are a bunch of winter soldiers that are about to get unleashed onto the world because that's what they think Zemo's motivation is. And so Tony is like, cool, peace out. Thunderbolt Ross, not Harrison Ford. I have no idea what they're talking about. Bye bye. And he fucks off. So then Tony goes and somehow arrives right after Steve and Bucky. After everything I just described Tony doing, Steve and Bucky left the night before, day before. So how do they arrive moments before Tony? That is absolutely outrageous. I'm sorry. I don't care how fast the Millennium Falcon is. I don't care how, you know, how the pants are made and the fact, like, I don't care. This specifically is the only reason the rest of the film works is that they arrive at the same time. Because then Tony admits to fucking up entirely. And he's like, look, I'm sorry. You guys were right. We're here at this secret fucking evil compound where secret evil things were happening and secret evil guys are about to be unleashed on the world. All right, let's go figure it out together. So they all reconcile. And and then they get to the main corridor, and all of the Winter Soldier clone dupes, whatever, are all killed. And Zemo is behind a barricade, and he says something so homoerotic to Steve as Steve goes up to the glass, and he says, you know, I would have never known there's a little bit of green in your eyes.
I love that line. I love that
It's
so
so
much.
homoerotic, and I agree. I love it too, but it is incredibly homo. Like I'm sorry. Like it is. I
Well,
never
because it's
noticed there was a little
obsessive.
bit of
Like,
green in your eyes. You, much like everyone else, are too imperfect. Like it is a.
if I can weigh it real quick, I
Go
think what
ahead.
makes that line so great is it's the I've been studying you for so long that I never like talking about like how perfect Steve is supposed to
He
be
always
presented.
is. Yeah.
That like I never realized there's a little bit of green in the blue of your eyes. Like
It's
it's
so.
that
Ugh.
phrasing of a little bit of green in the blue of your eyes.
It is so. It's poetic in a way that is like it is poetic in the way that is demented. A it is an obsessiveness that you cannot shake off.
Right.
But then we have the crux of the issue I have with the whole fucking movie is that Zemo admits and debuts the fact that he had no idea that the Winter Soldier killed Tony's parents. And for his whole motivation to be revealed in the green of the blue of your eyes, that I am here to sow the seeds of your demise as a group. I am here to elicit dysfunction in a family. I am here to break everything you know is bonds and true. I am here to destroy the love you have created, is what we are meant to think. And he says he did not even know about that footage or that fact being true. So he was fully basing everything that happened on something that Tony and Steve had reconciled with 20 like to 5 minutes ago in the film. He
So
Tony and Steve reconciled, were on the same page and ready to jointly take down this person and expose him for sowing all of the seeds of disconnect and for falsely incriminating Bucky for doing anything because all Bucky was trying to do was buy fucking plums. And you cannot ever try to be like, oh, that's not what happened because Zemo himself says it. And
so
that's what's crazy to me
what I
because he
think
did not know about that film, shows it to them, and it solves his problem of not having a finale to the end of the Avengers that he wanted. He needed that to complete the plot, but he admittedly never knew it existed until he was in Serbia
no,
uh,
no,
after
no,
killing those people.
no,
That's what he says.
no,
That
he's
is what he
no,
says.
no,
That's what he says.
no,
That's what he
no, that's
says.
not what he says.
Or else he would have released the footage. And you know it.
No,
And
he
you know
didn't
it.
know. No, stop. No, he did not know that the Winter Soldier assassinated the Starks until he got the mission report from Bucky. Because Bucky's mission was to track down Howard and Maria Stark because they were transporting a new version of the project, whatever the fuck,
Okay, cool.
Super
So
Soldier
let me
Serum.
reopen my notes and let me see what that actually changes fundamentally for the script.
It changes
Because
it.
it doesn't actually change as much as you'd want it to.
It changes it.
Um,
Okay.
oh no, yeah, we're gonna wait. Hold on. So then Zebo debuts the parent killing video that he did not even know about. Now here, until Bucky told him during the mind control event.
He knew
Now,
that if
hold
he
on.
framed Bucky, that the Avengers would cave in on themselves because he knew Steve would do whatever the hell he had to do to protect Bucky, and
How
that
could
half
he
of
know
the
that?
Avengers would almost certainly follow him into battle.
No, that is pure conjecture.
No,
It is no, I'm sorry. This is one of those things where like you have to give a villain so much credit in order for his plan to work.
okay, sure, I'll give him credit.
Genuinely, no, like there is so much conjecture in the point where you're like, oh, well, if he did release that, like, but he didn't. He didn't release that footage because if he would have released that footage immediately upon finding it out, they would have all been like,
Well,
okay,
yeah, because Bucky didn't have a VHS tape up his ass. Bucky told him when he says like mission report December whatever,
and he had to get the film.
and then
Either
Bucky
way, he
and
could
then
have
Bucky
released
tells
it. But
him,
here's the thing is that it requires, again, them all showing up somehow at the same time and not Steve and Bucky getting there first, which chronologically would have happened
okay, I agree with
because
you
it's
that
a
the timetable
bunch.
doesn't make any sense.
It
But
doesn't.
what you're
And here's the thing is that if they got there in the time that they need, like that they actually would have based on leaving Germany to
okay,
get to Siberia, they would have been able to absolutely end all of this. And even if T'Challa was there with them, he still would have gotten the same thing. Where
sure. I don't
T'Challa finds out that Zemo killed his dad, and then he actually fully joins with them. And then Tony shows up more chronologically, and the three of them are fucking sitting there having Mai Tais, and they're like, hey, he's tied up in the back. Do you want a Mai Tai?
here's all the evidence it was all Zemo. By the way, we're gonna
Do
continue
you
to
want a
lie to
Mai
you about what
Tai?
happened to your parents. But
No, I think at that point T'Challa's there, so they could have definitely told him what happened to his parents.
okay. Here's what you're getting
Because
wrong.
they have a third guy with them, and they're like, he is way more impartial. His dad also just died.
Here's what you're
Honestly,
getting
orphan to orphan. That's how that works.
here's what you're missing. Zemo's plan is put the Avengers in an unwinnable situation where it is
Where
going to
does that
be.
start, actually? Where does his plan start, technically?
What do you mean?
Where does no? I'm just what is the unwinnable situation? Where does his plan
The
start?
unwinnable situation is that Steve is going to do anything to protect his wartime best friend.
His lover,
Sure, his lover, his wartime best
his
friend, his sweet
Patroclus,
cheese,
his
his
Achilles,
rotten
his
soldier,
Achilles, his
whatever.
Patroclus. Truly, like whether or not they are, everybody has their own thing. I obviously am a little bit of a shipper, but uh, Achilles and Patroclus,
Yes, I know. But
even in the heterosexual versions of the text, they are still that.
I understand, and I agree with you on that. I just like what I'm trying to say is because of everything you just said, we know Zemo is right because Patroclus and Achilles.
Zemo is actually wrong though because
Okay, just keep like go into your like looking like evidence making machine. Keep doing
I
that, please.
will actually. You want me?
Um,
You're gonna make me fucking go get the Greek myth book out. Okay.
sure. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. What I have been trying to say is Zemo knows Steve Rogers, this man who he says he has been studying very closely because he knows he is the heart and soul of the Avengers. Let's put Steve Rogers in a position where he has to effectively break up the Avengers and cause a problem. Because he knows Steve is going to do anything to protect Bucky. Steve is going to know Bucky didn't do this. But I'm going to make it look ironclad that Bucky did it.
And then when Tony
And
finds
then
out and agrees that
I
he
love you so
didn't
much.
do
Can you
it,
please let me finish, honey? I love you so much. Can you please let me finish? I let you
I'm gonna
recap
mute
the
myself.
entire movie. I let you recap the entire movie. he knows the Avengers are going to cave in on each other. He strikes at the opportune time as the Avengers have begun to fuck themselves after what happens at Lagos. He knows the time is now. They pulled another Sokovia. People are looking at the Avengers, looking down at their nose at the Avengers. And it's like, now is the time, because they have never been on more unstable footing. His plan is, his plan is, I know there is super soldier serum out there. And I know the Winter Soldier did something to acquire it. I don't know the specifics. I need to find out the specifics. All these Hydra agents aren't telling me, so I got to go to the source. And yes, Zemo does some insane shit. Unfortunately, this is a movie. Unfortunately, this is a comic book movie. Okay, sure. No, it doesn't make sense in the way that, like, no fucking movie villain's plan has ever made fucking sense. It's not, yes, congratulations, Taylor, you watched the movie. The villain's plan is fucking insane.
I've watched many movies.
I know. Many movies where the villain's plan is fucking bananas.
Not
This
this
is not
fucking
unique to this
terrible.
movie. The phrase "the
The
Millennium
pl-
Falcon moves at the pace of the plot" is a quote from Pablo Hidalgo about your favorite Star Wars movie, about how
Hey.
none of the third act makes any sense, because how long is Luke on Dagobah? How long are Han and Leia trapped in space? What's going on? Like, that whole movie only functions for the same reason. What I'm trying to say is that when
we're presented with countries so close together. I'm sorry, you have to give me, when you give me context for locations that like are real, and I could literally hop on a plane, a commercial flight faster. I'm sorry.
Okay, sure, and I get that, and I will concede that like the
I'll mute
timetable
myself
is
again.
I will concede that the timetable is fucking bananas. I'm not saying it isn't. Yes, Zemo's plan relies on contrivances, but the plan itself, the movie's plot relying on a couple contrivances, I will give you that. But at the end of the fucking day, the plan is there is super soldier serum out there somewhere. I want to find it. B, learn more about the Winter Soldier so that I can use what I know about the Winter Soldier against the Avengers to make them go to war with each other. Because now every nation in the world is worried about what the fuck is going on with the Avengers. They've never been more vulnerable. And when he asks the Winter Soldier for the mission report, like December 14th, 1994 or whatever it is, the intel he gets is, I was assigned by Hydra to track down a new version of the super soldier serum developed by S.H.I.E.L.D. It was being transported by Howard and Maria Stark. I tracked them down, killed them, stole it, brought it back to this base in Siberia. And that's what happened. And then the Winter Soldier goes, "Oh, holy fucking shit. This just got juicier." So while they're fighting, I have an extra thing that if they don't fully fucking kill each other, I have one more ace in the hole that will make Stark crash out. So he goes to Serbia, makes sure that the Winter Soldiers who were on ice are killed because he hates superhumans, slimes them while they're in stasis, and waits so that the Avengers can arrive so that he can play his final card, because he knows he's going to be followed, and he has every intention of not fucking leaving alive in the first place. So it makes sense that he's kind of playing it fast and loose anyway, because he's trying to commit suicide by Avenger. And when they start killing each other, he tries to do it himself. And then T'Challa steps in with another one of the hardest fucking lines in phase 3 of the MCU. The living are not yet done with you. Shit goes fucking hard. You're not wrong that there are like plot contrivances and things that don't make sense, but the plan makes sense. The actual plan functionally works.
Is so fucking bullshit through and through that like entirely is based on people not talking to each other.
How many? I don't know what happened to you there. Okay. I don't know, but again, these are one of those instances where I go, yeah, sure, but also like, but we never have that. Like, I don't get why that is such a problem with this movie when that is the central issue of most movies. And I will go so far as to say that the not willing to talk to each other is the point, because Steve has burned all of his credibility. Tony
But
is wrought with guilt over Ultron and Sokovia. Neither of them are willing to compromise and listen to each other. This isn't like Batman v Superman. And I know you haven't seen the movie, but like, this isn't like Batman v Superman, where the only reason they're fighting is because Superman doesn't just say, Lex Luthor has my mom, who's also named Martha, hostage. It's Superman waits to divulge that information until Batman is about to skewer him with kryptonite. Like,
it's because I refuse to see that movie.
and I'm going to make you watch it one day because it fucking rules.
It
But
doesn't to me. I'm sorry.
But what I'm saying is, like, the point is that there is a fundamental block between these two characters that is not allowing them to speak to each other, that is putting them in a situation where they don't want to hear from the other one. And
This
the
is
moment, and what you're right about is like the central theme of this movie of united we stand, divided we fall, is that they have Zemo in their grasp. They are on the cusp of victory. Tony is here to admit that he was wrong. Tony is here to say, I
and
should have
he
listened to
did
you.
admit that he was wrong,
Yes.
and he did say he should listen to them.
Yes.
And then he was overtaken by grief,
And
which
rage
we
because,
get because that sucks.
yes, but characters making suboptimal decisions does not mean it's bad either.
I don't feel like the thing is that like when we get down to it, I am just like, okay, there are I inherently understand feeling some type of way because you feel like your mom should not have died. It is tough to deal with the fact that they do or did. Um, for one person's fault or another. And knowing that it did not have to happen, but it did still, and it can be traced to an individual person is really tough.
Yeah.
And
And
Tony goes through that constantly because he's a mama's boy.
yeah,
And that's totally okay. Like, there is nothing inherently wrong with that.
I
There
think
is a
Tony
beauty in
specifically
that.
calling attention to he killed my mom says so much, because I think in Tony's mind, like
His
Maria
mom was
Stark,
innocent.
yeah. Like, I think on some level, Tony could go, yeah, you worked for Hydra and my dad founded S.H.I.E.L.D.
My dad was the ingenue behind weapons of mass destruction.
I mean, not even that, but just like my
Well,
dad was
just
S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, my dad helped start S.H.I.E.L.D. and you're fucking Hydra. I get why you killed my dad. My mom had nothing to fucking do with this.
I would I would go even further as to say again, like when you come down to a personal like narrative, when you're looking at it, you're my dad, and like my mom had nothing. Sure, my dad may not have been a good person. That's still my dad. But like again, my mom had nothing to do with that part of his life. Or my mom had nothing to do with the things he was building,
Yeah.
the greater world he was making.
And we see in the bar flashback that, Howard is kind of being a hard ass to Tony and Maria is being kind to him. Like, oh, he's studying abroad. Oh, what's her name? Like,
And again,
the
well,
whole
there's
like,
a fathers have more weighing on their sons than they do, you know, other children or, other things. But I think that there is a deep reverence, obviously, that he has for his mother, but like again, when you think about like a parent or an individual as more innocent than another, no matter what like she may have been more great or involved in, and who cares? But like you killed my mom was the thing that set Tony's rage apart.
Yeah.
So
And the fact that it is equally directed at Cap. Like again, I think but like what makes this movie so tragic to me, what makes it like hurt so much is that like it's not just that Tony's like, "Oh, you killed my mother. I'm going to fuck you up now." Like I
he
think
killed my
so
mom.
he
You
killed my
know,
mom. I don't care he killed my mom. Like there is like all of Tony's rage like directed at Bucky, sure. But like the reason why this movie's so tragic to me, the reason I love it so much, the reason why like I resonate and am so affected by watching the Avengers break up like this is it is these two guys who do deeply care about each other in Tony and Steve, who do respect each other very, very much and appreciate the other one's perspective a lot. Who know that their fundamental difference in worldview is eventually gonna be a problem. That eventually Tony's cynicism, Tony's lack, like utter lack in trust in the individual, is going to eventually hit a crossroads where it fully breaks down with Cap's profound trust in the individual and his like almost, and I say this as somebody who has a similar worldview in this respect, almost delusional level of optimism. You know, like that this is eventually going to be a problem. And they are on the cusp of maybe being able to patch that up. And we are finally at a moment where people are willing to listen to each other, and Tony is willing to trust Steve because up to this point, and again, and this isn't me trying to debate the ethics of the Sokovia Accords or anything at this point, but like in the film, Tony has at this point been put between rock and a hard place after rock and a hard place after rock and a hard place because Steve keeps going rogue. And he's trying, as Tony says, he's trying to keep the Avengers together. And Steve keeps making decisions that are centered around Bucky. And Tony, I think on some level gets it and respects it, but also needs Steve to be willing to play ball. Tony does not feel listened to at
again,
all.
no like regular explanation for that. Like
Sure. I agree with you. And
it's a
I do see that
it's a
subtext there. But
to me, like those, like I understand how hard a lot of people have that time dealing with the subtext of that relationship. I am sorry when you hit a when you hit an impasse where it is everybody who you know and love, who trust you, who implicitly rely on you, who
yeah,
will do anything in the world to support you, will do anything that they can no matter what.
yeah.
And on the other hand, it is
One
this
guy and you choose the one guy.
person,
Yeah.
not
No,
even this guy. Like, and that's what I mean is that like let's remove the like the gender, like
honey, I agree with you. I just I don't want I agree with you. I don't want to get lost down this rabbit hole again
okay.
because I'm trying to talk about one other different theme and idea, and I don't want to lose that.
Sorry.
You're fine. I agree with you. Like with I'm not debating you on the Patroclus and Achilles
Well, it's
thing.
not really okay.
Like
But
I'm not
all
like
right.
it's I get what you're saying, but that's not the point I'm making. What I'm trying to get at is that like we have finally reached a moment where people are ready and willing to talk to each other. And despite the fact that Steve has gone rogue and made Tony's life incredibly difficult, has made an ass of Tony, you know, that Steve contributed to a situation, by allowing things to escalate to the airport fight where Rhodey is like in critical condition.
Which is not at all Steve's fault or any of Steve's teammates' fault.
The airport fight only happens because of what Steve's
I'm
doing.
sorry, that is because Vision
Yeah, I know.
outright admitted
He was
to
unfocused and he
losing-
missed.
No, he lost control, is what he said outright. He lost control. He lost focus and lost control. And you know that if he would have hit Sam with that, Sam would be dead.
Okay, I know he wouldn't have because he would have been aiming for the thruster. There's 1,000
Cool.
reasons why he wouldn't have died. That's not the point I'm trying to
a
make.
parachute, I'm sure, is a part of that thing that he probably
Parachute,
definitely
it's the
didn't
difference
blow,
between a glider and being in like
didn't
a
blow
100
up. Oh,
pound
he was gonna
titanium
just
suit.
shoot. You think that blast was just gonna like do a nice little like cruise by
Not the point. Not
on
the
his
point. Not what
glider
I'm
and
trying to
not
debate. Not what I'm
fucking
talking about at
obliterate
all.
his spine?
Not what I'm talking about at all. This, again, not the point. What I'm saying is that Tony is finally willing to have a conversation. Steve is finally willing to have an actual conversation. And in that moment, Tony realizes that Steve was not only willing to break up the Avengers over this one fucking guy and proving a single fucking point. This guy that he's breaking up the Avengers, causing multiple international incidents over, and has just lit the world on fire over.
The guy who Tony admitted to being wrong about the
Right.
entire time.
Sure, yes, that's the point. That's what I'm saying. Also, is the man who killed his fucking parents, and Steve knew. And Steve has known since before Ultron. And kept that information from him.
Wait, how do we know that he has known since before Ultron? Where does he say that? I don't recall.
Because Arnim Zola shows him the headline, Howard and Maria Stark dead in car accident, talking about like things aren't always what they seem, Captain.
Things are not always what they seem.
While talking about Hydra and the Winter Soldier.
Are we confirming that
Steve admits that he knew. And Steve admits that he knew.
He does admit that he knows in this film, but he did not. Do we confirm that Bucky killed JFK?
Yes, because they're showing all of the things. Okay, you think he killed at JFK, so either you think he killed JFK and that is 100%
I'm just saying
a fact,
that these are the things that Arnim Zola were showing them.
Yes, Arnim Zola heavily implies to Steve that Bucky Barnes is responsible for the death of Howard Maria Stark. And that Steve
also,
withheld that information.
Are we including other news articles that Arnim Zola showed him? Or are we just only including the ones that are about Howard and Maria Stark?
That's the one that's relevant to this movie, so that's the one I'm talking about.
Cool. So, like, I'm just making sure that we're making sure that all of those men are also canon for what Bucky has done. Because if that is, then that also has to be. If we're just going to take him at Arnim Zola's word.
Okay, yes, and it's also our big exposition for how the Hydra shield shit has been working.
Cool, I'm just making sure.
Okay, cool. The point I'm making is that when Tony freaks the fuck out, it is the last gasp of, I trust you, I care about you, I respect you, and now I know, in Tony's mind, the mind of like a guy with a lot of abandonment issues from dad, you were always willing to sacrifice your relationship with me, Nat, Bruce, Thor, Clint, whatever. It does not matter who fucking stands in your way. It is this guy who happened to also murder my parents over all of us. And you've destroyed everything for this one guy. I'm going to kill him, and how dare you even speak to me?
It's funny that you mentioned like Bruce and Nat and Clint, because two of those three people were on Cap's side. Like,
yeah. And now they're in prison because they sided with Cap, and he left them there.
No, they're on the raft because that's what happens when you go against the Sokovia Accords.
Yes, it is, and they fucking deserved it.
Yep,
I'm like,
and
I fucking care at this point. Fucking, you know what, Taylor? I'll say the thing you want me to say. Put them all in fucking shock collars.
Yeah,
how about that?
You want.
How about that? I'll
That's
give
what you want.
I'll give you the thing you want me to say. Put them all in fucking shock collars.
Yep.
Fuck them all. Senator Kelly for president. You know what? No, Kelly's not enough. Norman Osborn for president. I love so much the breakdown that happens here because we are on the cusp of it. And even though we as the audience know Steve is right, and we as the audience can sympathize with what Tony wants to have done, the fundamental breakdown in communication cannot be recovered because of this act of deception from Steve. And
And
because
also
Mr.
the
Truth
outright
Justice,
rage of Tony of not being able to accept the fact that, like, yeah, Bucky remembers every single person he's ever killed. And unfortunately, I find that extraordinarily traumatic. And, like, especially when you don't have a choice on whether or not you do the thing other than dying. But, like, I guess other people would just be like, die. So,
I mean, I get where Tony's coming from. I would do the same exact thing. If I found out somebody who I had a incredibly personal working relationship with, who I trust, who just destroyed everything we spent years building, betrayed me like that, yeah, I'm killing the guy who killed my parents and I'm opening up a biblical can of whoop ass on you. Like Tony falls victim to the same blindness and just personal connection to the issue that has put Steve in this situation in the first place.
the darkness has blind you.
Yeah.
Anger has brought you too close to the darkness.
Yeah.
The dark side is consuming you.
Yeah. The dark side of the ants from Ant-Man.
The dark side is consuming you, and you need to learn the path of forgiveness, Jarod.
Hey, Dark
I'm
Jedi for a
sorry.
reason.
You need the darkness is absolutely consuming you. You can't separate anger from peace, and I wish you all the best.
I think it is such a tragic turn for these characters that Steve spends the entire movie doggedly, personally trying to pursue one thing. He's about to have it. And Tony does the same thing. He's been angry at Steve for the entire movie. And because of that, the Avengers shatter. And because of that, Thanos wins.
Yep. And it's totally Tony's fault.
I love you so much. You know that?
Sometimes.
I know. I love you all the time.
Oh yeah.
Even
It's been
when
2
you're
hours
siding
and
with this
2 minutes
terrorist.
to almost 3, and I don't know if I felt loved all this.
Don't open up that can of worms. Don't open up that can of worms.
Oh, my darling.
Either way, I agree that the plan is insane.
That plane, like, I'm sorry. This is the thing that, like, always like, let's not even get into the bullshit. The thing that always made me mad about this movie is that, to me, Zemo's plot was borderline nonsensical.
And I understand.
It was fully based on, like, people hopefully, like, showing up at the same time and, like, hopefully not talking to each other and hopefully waiting for the screen grab I got, and also the Snapchat videos I have prepared for them on the big screen. Like, that's what it felt like to me he was doing. And again, for the end of the movie to be T'Challa, like, preventing him from committing suicide, but then also joining Steve and Bucky's side was, like, really reaffirming to me as somebody who's been fighting Jared throughout this entire.
Again, T'Challa.
T'Challa
At no point does
taking a
T'Challa say,
side.
I disagree with the Sokovia Accords. He just says, sorry, I tried to kill you for a crime you didn't commit.
And then he says, if the government or anybody try to come for you or your boy, they'll have to deal with Wakanda. And
Yeah,
I
which
was
is
like, all right, so Jared's wrong because the love of his life has decided that Steve and Bucky are cool and they're bros and they'll be here
okay.
forever.
First of all, chill. First of all, chill.
You don't love T'Challa like that? That's
I
crazy.
I
How dare you?
top
Wow.
10 MCU character for me. Don't.
Wow. I would have thought you would have been your number one.
All of that said,
Yeah, yeah.
all of that said,
Totally normal versions.
to before we wrap up, talk about some other things that are debating the plot, the ethics, and like the core theme of,
That you're wrong about. Yeah, I
being able
know.
to.
All of
Okay,
my fans should join the bandwagon and say hashtag boo Jared. Hashtag hashtag
you
boo
know what? No,
Jared.
I'm gonna put it back up because this shield does rightfully belong to that guy Steve's boyfriend killed.
Hashtag boo Jared.
Let me put my shield back up while you talk about Boo Jarrett.
Boo
Because this right here,
Jared.
this belongs to Team Iron Man now.
No, it doesn't actually. It belongs to the people because the people are truly the representatives of Captain America. Let's be entirely serious. Captain America is nothing but the voice of the people. We are Captain America is honestly really like a vox populi. Like he is the voice of the people, and
Okay.
genuinely to know that Jared disagrees with somebody who is essentially the voice of the people, like my vox populi. I don't understand why he would. I don't. He behaves this way, and I just don't get it. But it's fine.
Can we
Honestly, I
can we talk about Tom Holland?
think Tom Holland's pretty great. Do you know who I think is better? Marissa Tomei.
I
I
do
think is
briefly.
hot and
We will such a funny casting. It's never not going to be
yeah,
funny.
it's not even Jared. It's not fucking funny. That's not a
I
joke
mean
to
the
me.
reoccurring bit that
That's
Aunt
a
May is
that's a
hot in this universe.
genuinely that's for my people.
Either way,
The
I think
women who, you know, are down with it.
I went into this movie when I first saw it, like I was talking about earlier. Like, again, I was excited to see my favorite Marvel storyline adapted into the big screen with these characters and these actors I love so much
It must be
and their
nice to
role.
have a Marvel favorite character who's not dead. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it is. I fucking would
I don't
imagine.
know. Maybe don't get attached to a mid Carter next time.
Hey, maybe
But
go fuck yourself. Hey, maybe fuck you.
you have to make the episode Boo Jared and me not get an opportunity to dance on Pietro Maximov's grave at least a little bit.
That's my husband. Don't say his full name like that. You can only call
Um,
him Quicksilver.
may he rest in peace.
That's my husband. I'm not
But
married, so I am actually married.
either way,
To one very sexy Eastern European mute speedster. But probably not Eastern European technically in this version, and
can
also
we
not technically
come back
Indian.
to Spider-Man, please?
Yeah, you're right. We should.
The but like I went into this movie like the main event was Spider-Man. And those of you who listen to the audio commentary know, even though this is like the bajillionth time I've seen this movie, the fucking screech I let out on that Queen's title card. Just because like that was like I remember in the theater, like I was just so enthralled by the story, there was a part of my brain that forgot Spider-Man's coming. And I remember when that title card hit, like I got choked up the first time I saw it because I was like, he's fucking here. Like I'm about to see Spider-Man in the MCU, and um, I when you have characters, and we'll talk about this a lot with the MCU Spider-Man trilogy, so I only want to touch on it briefly here. But when you have a character who has existed, you don't have to yourself on mute every time I speak. I was just saying, can we get off the Quicksilver thing?
No, I think I should. I
No,
think it's more fair to you.
don't, because I want to hear you laugh and have your responses.
I think it's more fair to you if I can interrupt.
No, it's okay, but I have the power to unmute you, so I'm going to. Oh, I actually can't unmute you, and you're using your cough button, so I apologize. But when there are characters who exist for so long,
Maybe.
you're good. I was trying to be like, no, I want to hear you
Sometimes
laugh.
I am polite, and then other times I am polite on purpose.
The characters exist for so long; they go through so many different iterations. Especially a character like Spider-Man, who, because of pop culture and because of more accessible media than comics, is perceived in this weird place of development where so many people associate Spider-Man with his origin and don't fully understand and appreciate that Spider-Man in the comics did not really spend that much time in high school.
Yeah, but that's crazy because Tobey Maguire was 40, so
Yeah, and credit where credit is due, the Sam Raimi movies, he graduates high school in the first movie. But that movie
but he was
begins
45 years
at 45 years
old.
old. But so much of that movie about him becoming Spider-Man is there. Same thing with TASM 2. The second movie is him graduating, but still the first movie is very much a story about a Peter Parker who was in high school.
Excuse you. The first movie was by far the best movie. Genuinely, in my opinion.
Are you talking about TASM or Raimi?
Oh, we're talking about TASM. The first movie of TASM, by far, best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen.
I look forward to talking about that more when we revisit those two.
Best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen, and that has nothing to do with the fact that I think everybody should be a lizard.
Moving on from that point, we'll get back in.
Nothing to do.
We'll talk about that when we do our TASM revisited episode.
Unrelated.
But a lot of the early Spider-Man stories that are set in high school, I think the Tom Holland movies get a weird flack because while the other movies are able to get away with putting Peter Parker in college age or beyond college age Peter stories, or with other characters like Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane Watson, while focusing on so much of the high school stuff, where these movies are focused on the high school era for Peter, and they're also focusing on a motivating factor Peter had in the comics at this time, which is he wants to impress his superpowered peers.
Yeah.
And
also just the other Spider-Man movies we get with Tom Holland build on that so much.
Yeah. And again, issue 1 of, I think it's issue 1 of The Amazing Spider-Man, he breaks into the Baxter building because he wants to audition for the Fantastic Four. And he's talking about wanting to impress Iron Man and Captain America and other comics and stuff. It's not an unrealistic thing. So I really like taking this version of Spider-Man, who has only been a superhero for 6 months, as he says in the movie, and basically saying you might have a ticket to the big leagues, and
but
wanting to do what?
Sorry, I'm gonna mute myself until you're done talking.
Don't mute yourself. What were you gonna say?
No, it's not nice. So, I think I should sit until you're done.
To take this version of Peter Parker, which in a really interesting way is almost the beginning of what I love so much about the multiverse saga. That it is about the world has superheroes in it now. There's no getting around that. This is just an immutable fact about reality. There are superpowered people all around us. And how does that not only affect the world, but how does that affect the individuals who are caught up in it? And it's the
Mhm.
beginning of people of like a second generation of people who live with it. It's like when you how you can scale like millennials to Gen Z to Gen Alpha of like how much has the internet affected your life. It's like that, but to the nth degree with like the concept of superheroes and superheroics being commonplace. Um, and I love that there is a meekness to Spider-Man that has to contend with the hotshot element, that like both are there. And Tom Holland, like in just such a brief amount of time in this movie, is able to communicate the cool factor and the dork factor.
Yeah, he's
You
great.
know,
He's wonderful.
like you get equal parts the awkwardness. Hey everyone, Spider-Man. Like Tony has to tell him to stop talking. Multiple people have to tell Peter to stop talking. Which again is a great thing because Spider-Man should never shut the fuck up. Can you tell why I
Sam,
like him
usually
so
these
much?
battles don't have so much talking.
Yeah, and but so we have elements of that. We have but we also have the way that he is kind of like mogging on Captain America when he's fighting him.
A little bit, yeah. He has
Like
an
those.
overconfidence. He has an ego. He's a little bit
Yeah, because he's also having fun.
yeah.
There's that like I love that beat where
I think
he
he and Clint are on a little bit more of the same beat during that fight where they're all like, everything is gonna be fine.
yeah,
Everything's gonna be cool, and everybody's gonna get along later. Like
yeah. Well,
Clint
because
is that like during that battle, Clint is extremely like, he's very, a
he's
tete-a-tete.
comedically casual about it.
Yeah, a tete-a-tete with Nat. He is like, hey, I've never met you, T'Challa, Black
I do not
Panther.
care.
I don't care who you are. And it's like, okay, well, that's rude. Hopefully you'll care later.
But like, but you have like like I don't remember because I know it's Mr. Stark told me blank.
Oh,
Or
the
no, it's
child
the like
soldier of it
what
all.
did Tony tell you? He told me that you're wrong
Um,
and you think you're right, and that's what makes you
yep.
dangerous.
And that fucking pissed me off, dude.
I know it pissed you off. That's not the
It's
point I'm
because
making.
no, that's why I muted myself was because I was like, Tony, for all of his righteousness throughout this, he is the only one who actively recruits a child. And I understand he's 16 or 17 or whatever. Hopefully, don't correct me if he's 14,
He's not
15. Yeah, okay. So a child, nonetheless.
16. I think he's about 16.
Well, how old is he in his first movie?
I mean, he's going to his homecoming dance. I don't know. I know
And
he's
if he's
graduating in No Way Home.
so
Well,
No Way Home is
the
the
timetable gets
third.
thrown off because of the blip.
It's fine. Either way,
Yeah,
he's probably 14 here.
I think he's older than 14. But either way, I get what you're saying, and because
He's
Tony's a
not hit,
hypocrite. Tony's a hypocrite.
but also Tom Holland hasn't actually hit puberty in this movie. Like you could tell, he's a little baby.
No, he's
He is
grown.
just Cher. I understand he was 19 when this came out, but like for a child, quote
Holy
unquote,
shit.
actor.
He turned 20 during the production/release of the film. So he
Yeah,
was like
that's what I mean.
19
He was
going on 20.
19 when he was in the film. I am just saying he is doing a great job of like 15.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And again, Tony is the only person to be asking an actual child to be a part of his team.
Yeah.
And then not only is he like, hey kid, join my team. Peter was using his powers unregulated with no support, no interaction from a higher up or a team or police or anything. Genuinely, you cannot tell me that he would not have more sided with Steve than he would have with Tony if not for Tony showing up. because again, what does Peter say when Tony asks him, well, why do you do this? Because somebody has to. Because somebody has to protect the little guy, you know? And that is something that the Sokovia Accords, by definition, would prevent because they are a board of
Suits.
officials who are approving deployment. They are not monitoring neighborhood situations. But inherently, the accords do not allow for people who are empowered to act of their own accord. So therefore, Spider-Man would have to, in the greater like universe of this context, have to sign up and therefore no longer be permitted to be the neighborhood Spider-Man. Inherently, because
I hear what you're saying, and I
it
don't
is
fully disagree.
a deployment. It is, and that is what to me is like the biggest thing is that like the
Yeah.
accords are designed to limit damage. Of course, I get that. Inherently, there are no amendments. And that is, again, I understand they can be made.
Okay,
They
real
are
quick
not.
though, I do need to interject. Because I want to get back to the line of dialogue I was talking about that he says after that. But
Sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. But what I wanted to say on that point is in the MCU, the Sokovia Accords are specifically about the Avengers.
Understandable, but they also do
So
require registration of empowered individuals.
I don't think the Accords just blanketly apply to superhumans. I mean, if they do, then
Well,
like we're basically getting into the Superhuman Registration Act, which is its own, for the most part, bag of
but that's
cats
the thing is also if
from the
Spider-Man is
comics.
participating in Iron Man's team, is he not inherently a part of that group that he's participating with? He would have to. I don't know. If I'm part
I
of
know
the group that is
it's
assigning you,
muddy. It's muddy. I would also say, on some level, there is, in just as much as the Spider-Man needs autonomy to be able to do friendly neighborhood Spider-Man things, the maxim of with great power there must also come great responsibility also applies to something like the Sokovia Accords of acknowledging the need for restraint. So like that's why Peter is able to be on both sides in the comics.
but again,
Is that
that does that.
is that
Yeah,
that
I'm like,
maxim equally drives him to either side.
it does like, is it more imperative to be there for greater causes when the world around you is already so weak?
Like I said, it's murky with Peter. That's like the Spider-Man philosophy can like squares pretty well with either side of Civil War. That's why he's such a crucial character to have in play. But what I had in mind initially is like, yes, there's the line with like, he thinks you're on blah blah blah. But going back to the like, he's timid, he's nervous, he's awkward. But you also have that hotshot element with the. He also told me to go for your legs. Like that
You
element
also have him
there.
catching Bucky's arm.
Yeah, you have that. But that even goes to him just kind of being himself. Like you get all of these elements where it's like the timidness, the hot shot, but also Peter just being Peter. Because like there is like he's not like he has that moment where he's like, dude, you have a metal arm. That's awesome.
That's awesome. How
But
many
then
KPI?
he also has that moment where like they throw shit at him, like, hey, did you lose something? Where like it's quips. He's being
No,
sincere.
he
He's
is
also
amazing.
awkward.
Like we
Like in
get
such
the amazing, like
when such little time, Spider-Man
is
is,
there.
and it's like, okay, yeah, that there he is. Um, Also, like the first time we get to see Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther,
Ugh.
um, just
You
he has
can't
such a
beat
great
it.
performance.
The
With again,
presence he carries is unreal.
he truly is just unbelievably fun to watch. And the amount of pathos he gives to T'Challa with again, like obviously
Ooh,
Black Panther has much more screen time than Spider-Man does here.
I
But
would
like
say
in terms
also
of our
him
new
like just
guys.
clawing the fucking motorcycle. Ugh, so good.
But like Chadwick is able to put so much life into T'Challa and give him like in this amount of time, with the amount of screen time that T'Challa gets here, to really sell to sell going from, so as a warrior and as a king, how long do you think you can protect your friend from me?
Yeah.
To take that all the way to vengeance has consumed them, retracts the clause, I'm
Is-
done letting it consume me. To
And then
sell
again,
that much of an arc for T'Challa that then he gets to not coast on and like he's asleep at the wheel, but like then like ride the lightning of into Black Panther.
well, also just the triple down of Steve saying, if they know you have him, they will come for you. Let them come.
Yeah.
And then we like expand on like
And the
the
statue of Bast. Yeah. Like I said, he brings such like I almost hesitate to say the word effortless because it makes it sound easy.
No, he fucking did the work too. Yeah.
Because again, like there
He
is
did
so
the work to make it feel effortless.
exactly. He makes it look effortless when like there
He
again
the
we
like
we've gone
accent
so long that we
building
don't have the time to do like 15 minutes on single line deliveries. But like the internal conflict with T'Challa, where on some fundamental level he knows that T'Chaka would not want him to do what he's doing.
when we get to the Black Panther episode and I'm like, Jarod pulled the clip.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean
make him
that
just
whole episode is
fucking
just going to be us like taking turns gushing about the entire cast, and like 70% of it is going to be Michael B. Jordan and Bozeman.
interchangeably between us.
Yes. Hey auntie. Favorite line in the whole fucking
Hey,
movie.
oh, love it. I love him.
But we
Love
got
him.
for the first time I say this not dreading it. Keep the chamber loaded. For both of
Whoop,
us.
whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, I love them. I
Because
love them down.
I'm actively trying
Um,
to do it to not keep gushing about Spider-Man.
yeah, I can't wait for Black Panther. I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like I have to have a bonus episode maybe. But we'll see. It's 2.5 hours right now as we're loading up. But
we got a couple movies before we get to Panther, and I'm excited. Like it's crazy to like be like, oh my god, we're almost to Black Panther,
I know
but
I feel like I have to get a gals council
but
just
yeah,
so we can gush.
I just wanted to, before we wrap up, like take the time to give flowers to Spider-Man, not just to Spider-Man and Black Panther, but to Tom Holland and Chadwick Boseman, because
Absolutely.
this is not their movie. The choice, like again, the whole idea of like, oh, MCU movies only exist to set up the next movie, and that movie will set up the next movie. Like, I think it's a gross oversimplification, but the times where things like that have happened, they tend to be
They're
messy,
serendipitous.
like Iron Man 2, parts of that movie are messy because we got to set up Shield, we got to set up Black Widow, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. The parts of Age of Ultron that are really all over the place are okay, we're committing to the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like, like those parts are messy. The fact that they are able to so seamlessly, beautifully,
They're growing
perfectly
into their own.
have Black Panther and Spider-Man first appear in this story and it not feel like we're going off the rails and it not feel like it's just, fluffy setup.
It
Like,
feels like an understanding of your own premise. Like it feels
yeah.
like a real, like a genuine growth into what has been so necessary to this.
And it's done with a casualness that makes it feel comic booky. and it is done with a grace that allows them to feel like full characters and not characters that we get a little bit of and will understand better later. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, you feel like a full person to me, and now I can't wait for your story. And it's just like again, like say what you will about this movie, whatever, but like the way they are able to include Spider-Man and the Black Panther, like truly tremendous and impressive. And it gives me like it's part of why when it was like, oh, of like Avengers Doomsday is also going to include like a reintroduction to the X-Men, I
Yeah.
didn't even flinch. Because I was like, oh, like these are the same guys who carried on their back introducing these two crucial characters people have been begging for, made them feel like full people with like 15 minutes of screen time for one and like 5 minutes for the other. They got this. Like, if there is anything to worry about with Avengers Doomsday, it is not how they can handle introducing the X-Men. Because they know these fuckers are good at like bringing you somebody who feels like a full person already. And they have the benefit of other movies existing having done it for you already. Like not only are they good at this specific, not only are the Russos and Marcus and McFeely, even though it's only McFeely on Doomsday, like not only are they good at that, they are now doing it on easy mode because we're going in with an attachment to the X-Men. Like that is like one of those things I was like, yep, yeah, no, they should be coming back. If we're doing this, they made the right call. Um, but yeah, I love this movie. I also love my girlfriend, even though we argue about movies and get heated with each other.
Hey, this is genuinely the healthiest relationship. You know, we only fight whenever we disagree about a movie or a character or whether or not they committed war crimes and deserve to, get hanged. It is one of those things where I could never be more grateful for the person
Truly.
I will spend hopefully the rest of my life with. But honestly, if I don't, viewers cut this out.
Yes, viewers with access to my back catalog of
Nope, they
content.
can. No, it's okay. It's a YouTube video. They'll cut it out. My fans would cut it out.
Well, I have no plans on going. I have no plans on going anywhere, even though you are
My fans could cut
a
you out.
fugitive.
What?
But all of that said, I think that's all we got for Civil
Fugitive.
War. I think this is the longest episode of Road to Doomsday so
Oh,
far.
beyond the longest episode of The Road to Doomsday. Honestly, the only thing longer could functionally be a movie.
We're about as long as the movie is.
I know.
Well,
I love you guys, you viewers. Jared, I'm at Quicksilver Girl GRRL on Blue Sky, I guess. Nobody follows me, but it's cool. Um, whether or not you're Doom, I'm still here. And Jared, what are
yes.
you?
What am I?
What are you?
What is Gamora?
Where is Gamora?
I okay, so I kind of like the idea that it's like all the different question words from my different co-hosts. Travis has Jared Ware, Taylor has
Jared, what are you?
Jared What. No, you guys can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky at Dark Jedi 2552. You can find the
You
Nerd
can find
Academy
him at
podcast
what?
at
Dark
what? At what Dark Jedi 2552. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. You can also go to our website, thenerdacademypodcast.com. You can go to our Patreon.
Yeah, if you love me, you can go to our Patreon, where you guys can be my best friend, actually in real life.
I'm gonna have
Um,
to make a shirt that's like that just says Miss Taylor's parasocial best friend because you
I
keep doing this.
have decided you're my best friends. You guys really did good choice, unfortunately.
But
I just love you guys, and I love talking to people while I watch movies, and that's really it. Like, if you watch a movie with me in real life, it's the same thing because I'm just gonna talk about it during it. I'm a
well,
funny line repeater too, so be prepared for that. Can't wait for our next movie, which
uh,
is
Well, $5 patrons get early access to every episode as well as exclusive access to
Doctor
our audio
Strange.
commentary. I'm about to end with that.
Oh, sorry, I had to look at the map. Sorry, it's a calendar.
I mean, it's a roadmap for the thing. Like, I'm used to that language being used in like video games and shit. So you were like, "Oh, the roadmap." I'm like, "Yeah." Our hilariously Mandalorian and Grogu themed calendar rewrote this all on because I couldn't find a Marvel calendar. It's the movie I'm actually the most excited for next year.
The map.
But you guys can find
Like
the
Dora.
Patreon $5 tier, early access to every episode, including exclusive access to our audio commentary series. You can watch
My
the movies
actual
with
best
us.
friends are there.
Shouts out to and you get exclusive access to being Taylor's best friend. $10 patrons get a shout at the end of every episode. Thank you to Ray Clausen and Paco. Our next
Ray Clausen
episode,
and Paco are actually my double best friends.
they're double best friends. They're $10.
They're my
patrons.
BFFs, best friends forever, forever.
Forever, forever.
Forever, forever. And if they ever leave me, I'll be sad.
Can't guilt people about leaving the Patreon.
It was a personal guilt thing, but in real life,
You can't do that. You can't do it's uncouth. It's uncouth.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
But our
It's
next
actually my
episode,
parasocial relationship with you guys. The
you guys
opposite of a normal one.
you guys can parasocially join
A
us
long time
next
we've
week
been
for Doctor
recording.
Strange with our special guest Alden Diaz.
That'll be totally normal.
As we continue our path through phase 3 and get to meet for the first time the Sorcerer Supreme to be Stephen Strange, like I said, with friend of the show. And by the time you're
Alden.
seeing this, maybe or maybe not, still the Epic Confrontation singles champion of the world.
Probably. I believe in him. I believe in Alden Diaz.
Damn, you taking Alden over Michael. That's your official prediction?
No, because Michael can kill me in D&D.
Well, either way,
So,
we'll see
I
you.
believe in Michael McCoy.
Either way, we will see you when we talk about Doctor Strange on the
God.
next steps on the road to Doomsday.
I love you guys. Bye-bye.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!
I love you guys. I'm putting us back on before I end recording because nobody heard you say, I don't know, I lost the plot.
I don't know. I lost the plot. I was like, honestly, I'm having a great time tonight. We had to pause the whole thing for, you know what, this is a bonus episode in and of itself. Uh, John Cena is done with wrestling, and I had a little dinky dink. And I kind of, life is great and cool and wonderful, and
We're gonna end it there.
I
Life
love
is
you
great and
guys.
cool.